we are going to be talking about how to build a weekly meal calendar slash what even is a weekly meal
I was about to
calendar,
say,
right?
why don't we kind of go over what weekly meal calendar really is?
Yeah. So, in general, we all know what a meal plan is, right?
Yes.
We have to plan our meals.
Yep.
But the meal calendar is going to be the organization factor of your meal planning,
Right.
right? So, and this will also be like what you're seeing. Because I don't know how everyone else feels about this, but if we just say something out loud, it's not necessarily fully there,
Yeah.
right? But if you write it down, not only are you saying it, thinking it, but you're also writing it, and then you can see it.
Yeah. And in fact, I believe there have been studies done on that exact thing that you're just saying. That, thinking it, saying it, seeing it, and writing it down, and that it actually helps you remember what it is that you're planning on doing and exactly what it is that you're writing out. So if you're taking notes on something, they highly, highly suggest that you write them down, actually, like analog pen to paper, write it down.
Yeah. So, this is going to be your huge organization factor of when you're doing a meal plan because you're going to be having something. It could be in a calendar.
Yeah,
It could be a list form. It
absolutely.
could be a combination,
Yeah,
but you're going to be splitting up whether you're planning out your breakfast, lunch, dinner for each day, or if you want to add on snacks, things like that. And then you're going to have that organization. And you might also have notes for shopping, notes for busy days, those kinds of things.
yeah,
So,
all really good points.
yes. So, next, how do you come up with one? How do you create one, right?
Well, isn't the creation of a weekly meal calendar also utilizing what your meal planning is already going to be?
Yes, to an extent. You just have to actually get the organization of it. So you have to decide what's going to be best for me, right? But while you're thinking about that, you kind of have to think, how is my week going to play out? How busy am I going to be? What do my work commitments look like?
Right, right.
Do I have family activities?
Oh, yeah.
Are there any social events?
All really big things to keep in mind when you're planning it out.
And it might be easiest for some people if these events are also in there with what your meal is happening each day, right? So that you can see all of it together. Or it might be helpful to have it separated.
Yeah.
So, kind of have to do your guessing and checking a little bit, right? And then also, what are your goals for this time being? So, are you having any health goals? Are you just wanting to eat more at home? Do you have any restrictions or
Right.
allergies that you have to worry about?
Exactly.
So, those are all things that you're going to be thinking about when you are doing all of this. And that'll help you then assess like how many meals do I need to plan? Do I need to prepare a lot more?
Exactly.
Do I need to lose my train of thought apparently? Do you need to prepare more convenient heavy meals, or do you have a little bit of a lighter schedule to cook more at home
Right.
through the week, right? Or do you need to prep ahead? So assessing your schedule is going to help a lot with that. The next thing you'll want to do within that is pick a consistent day that'll be your planning day, as well as how you're also going to create the flow of shopping and things like that, which can
Right.
also fall into that planning day.
Yeah,
Right.
because honestly, consistency is king. And as long as you're consistent, you can just really build that muscle and really grow faster from that.
And then you also are going to want to, within all of that, select something that's convenient for you. Because if it's not convenient, you're not going to do it. in
Yeah.
the sense of like, if it's already like, oh, very hectic time, but I'm going to do it anyways, you're probably not.
Yeah.
So find a time where you're most likely going to be able to easily focus on it. So if you have kids, probably after they're asleep
Yeah.
or
just like-
when they're napping, something like that, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're in that napping phase, I know that the boys.
It almost was like, were you saying frame and phase?
Yeah. basically.
Phrase.
So I know, like for us, the boys, they don't generally nap anymore. Specifically, Elias has
Only
started
when they
getting
let it.
away from it,
Yeah.
and he will very seldomly actually take a nap. Whereas Scarlett here will take at least a good nap in the middle of the day. So then we know at that time we can try to get a little bit more work heavy stuff done while she's taking a nap, while the boys can also be entertaining themselves, playing with toys and whatnot.
Yes,
Of course, super
but
nice.
also as your kids get older,
Mhm.
they're not necessarily jumping for your attention as much, so you can
Right.
have a little bit more conversations within planning that. But again, pick a consistent time and make sure that you have the time for it in that space.
Yeah, basically
So-
just block it out. If you
Exactly.
block out that time and just know, like, this time every single week, I'm going to be doing my planning, or I'm going to be talking with my partner about planning, and we're going to figure out exactly what it's going to look like, then you know
Mm-hmm.
you're not only holding yourself accountable, you're holding whoever else you're talking to accountable
Mm-hmm.
in that same aspect.
Yeah. Now, this one has a lot to do with your layout of actually writing all of this out. So, in this sense, you're either going to want to utilize a template that is already out there, or you're going to want to create one. Now, lucky for all of you, we already have a template that we kind of follow, which we have some meal planning PDFs that has like a shopping list,
Yep.
inventory. They're very simplified versions, as well as a simplified version of how we kind of plan out our meals. And if you're looking for something that you're like, I'd love to try that out, go ahead and let us know in the comments guides or template, and we will send you over those PDFs
Yeah.
because they're easily printable and super useful.
They're super convenient
Mm-hmm.
too, and the fact that you're wanting to be consistent with something that's convenient that you can use either from your
Mm-hmm.
phone or even from your laptop or tablet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of the biggest benefits,
Yeah.
especially because
And-
smartphones are in our hands all the time for the most part.
And I will say that, like, while we have them, there are a slew of different ones because you can also find ones that are maybe more customized to exactly what you want. You're going to be looking for something that is organizing them weekly, right? And you're going to want to look for ones that kind of separate breakfast, lunch, dinner,
Right.
snacks. It gives you options, right? And then whether you want some, like a little shopping space on the side, or there's ones that also have kind of like health tracker things. I believe ours has like a water tracker
Yeah.
because I'm not always the best at
But
drinking
you're-
my water.
like you're notorious
I was
for
gonna say
drinking your water.
I'm I'm not the best at that. If so much so, in fact, that Tony got me a water bottle that like lights up to tell me that I need to drink water. And
Not
now
only that,
now
it
our
also
boys-
gives her notifications.
and now our boys tell like Wyatt will just be like, "Mom, your water bottle's telling you to drink water." But that's something that we looked for.
Specifically
it's-
for that reason, yeah.
Yeah. So things to think about with that. The next are things to keep into consideration, which is kind of what. But when you're thinking about a meal calendar, as well as a bit on your planning, you want to think about leftovers or repurposing
Right.
those. Some people are like, I totally am against leftovers, which means that if you have some leftover, you could think of ways of repurposing them to another meal. So, like, for instance, let's say you made chicken that was
Right.
roasted and things like that, and you're like, "Ugh, I don't want to eat this for leftovers." Well, you could dice it up, make a chicken salad for a sandwich. You could slice it, add it to a green salad. Those are just two
Yeah.
options, but there's lots of different
I
things,
mean,
right?
it's so versatile because honestly, thinking about it, you could even slice it, add it to a soup. You could
Exactly.
dice it up. You could add it to breakfast taco. If you're looking to get a little extra protein in the morning,
And to just
these
make
are
it
just a couple
Yeah.
things really quickly off the top of our
Right.
head.
right. And like one of the things that we shared one time is we did like kind of a repurposing because we made a stew, but then we used part of that to go into making it like a pot pie.
Yeah. I was gonna say the other night we even utilized something like this where we made ourselves our own little like at home ramen bowls,
Yeah.
and we had repurposed.
We had some broth and like
a
sauce
roast
that we.
and some sauce
Oh
from
yeah,
a
because
stew,
we used roast as our protein into
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but it
and it was fantastic.
was it different?
a little
For
bit?
sure, yes. It was good though. But if you're
mean, I
someone
wasn't
who's
mad at
really
it.
not about leftovers, thinking about different ways to repurpose them is super helpful. And keeping those into consideration is important because throughout your week, having leftovers is going to lower the amount that you have to cook,
Absolutely.
lower the amount that you have to worry about, and then you already can be more organized with, okay, I'm taking leftovers for lunch, or we're having this
Yeah.
meal for this night and this night. It just simplifies the process.
It really does, and like we just showed a couple examples of being able to repurpose them into different areas.
There's so many options.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, one of our menus coming up that we're going to, because St. Patrick's Day is coming up, so corned beef, right? We're making that and then Reubens.
Oh yeah, we are.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be good.
So, repurposing. Next is thinking about when you're doing everything is recipes and getting inspiration. And where are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? What kind
Yeah.
of recipes are you going to use? There's so many options. There's cookbooks. There's
Yeah.
we share lots of recipes. In fact, like on our we have a bunch coming soon for
So
spring.
keep
I'm
an eye
excited.
out.
I'm excited. I'm excited
Yeah.
about spring. I'm excited for spring. Spring flavors, all the funness, right?
It's just the right flavors are just always really nice to have.
So it's nice.
Yeah.
And then we share recipes as well as meal planning
Yep.
tips and meal plans and things like that. There's also things you can find everywhere all over the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Pinterest,
It's huge for that. Even I would even say
even
other
just for
social
inspiration.
platforms. Yeah, I was gonna say even other social platforms like Instagram
Because if I'm
are
ever
massive
like
to be able to find food.
if I'm ever like, oh, I want to make something that's different, but I'm like, like in that just brain
That
zone
brain
of
fog.
just like, nope.
Yeah.
I'll just type in something on Pinterest just to look at like food pictures, and then it gives me like a million different. Oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do this. What about this? That sounds like fun.
But that's
And
also
then-
just our chef brains
Right.
just wanting to throw out ideas.
But it's a great thing to do is to think about different recipes and inspirations so that you can kind of plan ahead on like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to do a Thai week.
Yeah, of course.
In fact, I was like, ooh, a nice spring Thai menu would be fun.
A springtime menu
I have
would
that
be
written
delicious,
down.
Yes.
You were not.
That was not
You are not a happy camper. But next are going to be a few helpful tips when you're planning your weekly meals and building your calendar.
Yeah.
Because I would say that these can be really helpful for at a month's glance, right? So you're going to have certain things you're like weekly. This is going to be ones that are going to be helpful on a monthly scale. So when you're assessing your schedule, which is good to do a month,
Right.
like so at the end of so like let's say at the end of February you're looking at all of March, right? To see, because you'll generally know pretty much what your month's going to look like, right?
Yeah.
Certain things might change, but nothing too major, hopefully. Right? So,
there shouldn't be any major events just dropped in the middle of the month at the last minute notice.
So, you should know which days, which weeks are going to be like crazier, right?
Yeah.
So, in that, you're going to think, I could probably use some more convenience items for those times, right? These could be more helpful to my family, right? And those convenience items could be maybe you have a prepped ahead meal in the freezer, or
something like
sometimes they have those like the dump meals, like not like from the dump, but you
They're
put them
just
on a bag,
basically
you have it in
all
your
one
freezer,
thing. You throw it into a pot,
a crock pot or
cooks in
something like
about
that.
15 minutes.
Yeah. So if you need that, if you need a lasagna in your freezer,
exactly.
that kind of thing.
And lasagnas are super easy to go ahead and get prepped ahead and throw in the freezer.
Exactly.
And they're just super nice when it's one of those crazy days and you're like, you know what? I've got maybe an hour and a half until it's dinner time.
Yeah.
I need to get something in. We've got the lasagna in the freezer. Grab it, throw it in the oven. There we go. Exactly.
And that's what she thinks about lasagna.
Yeah.
That she's never tried.
Good
but,
tips.
so, think about your convenience items and where they would fit in best and where they wouldn't. The next is going to be to really think about balance in your meals. Because the whole point of planning ahead is being able to think, okay, I need to have good proteins, vegetables, fruits, good grains, having a very nice, well-rounded menu, as well as balance within your recipes and meals. So, keeping that in mind is super helpful. And you can always plan ahead, right? And then this kind of goes into the next tip, but then reassess for the next month, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we lead into flexibility, reflection, and revision.
Right.
Because, of course, like we said, ideally, you see the month ahead and you're like, okay, I kind of have an idea. Things happen.
Yeah.
It might work out, it might not. It might work out perfectly, might have a few bumps in the road, right? And that's where you reflect.
Yeah. Or you just have the flexibility and understanding of like, okay, this is what it has to be. Like, perfect example of that would be tonight. We had a crazy night with the kids and things were kind of getting
today was
a little out of the way. So we ended up, instead of planning, we have chicken tenders in the fridge and we were planning on cooking those and probably making some really nice sides with them. And we were just like, it's getting pretty late. We haven't even started cooking. Let's just make it an easy
It wasn't
night.
even late. We planned this. You're late. You realize we decided this at 2 or 3.
Was it?
It's just
Oh my God.
takes so long to get.
So much
It
later.
takes so long to get the kids ready and then going. But the point is it was a busy day, so we were like, we're just gonna pick something up for today.
Yeah.
That is our convenience
Make
for
it a
the day.
convenience night.
So that's where you kind of have to be flexible within all of that, is having that backup meal, or am I eating out for certain amounts. But you also want to set boundaries around that too. So,
Right.
and then going back and looking, so if you're trying to stay on a budget, if you're trying to eat at home more, things like that, reflection is going to be really helpful, because you can then see, okay, this was what we were supposed to be sticking around. Did we do that? We did on this area, we didn't on this area. Okay, now we have to revise a few things. Do we need to change our budget? Do we need to have better backup meals?
Right.
Do we need to plan a little bit more efficiently?
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be minor things that might need to be changed.
And that reflection is super helpful. And then, of course, like you're saying, to revise it and really get an overall picture of everything that can be adjusted.
Yeah.
Because there's some times where things are just out of your hands and things just get crazy. And it just
especially
happens.
if you have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you're a business owner.
Yeah, that too.
Then you have chaotic days that change in very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, we hope you guys are as excited as we are about diving into, because we didn't share this because we're kind of in the zone of meal planning basics.
Yes.
Right? So we're kind of going around that. Probably should have started with that. But we'll finish with it, right?
Yeah.
So we're excited about getting to dive in a bit more into these and sharing them. And other than that, we hope you guys have a great weekend or rest of your weekend.
Yeah, have an absolutely wonderful weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're excited for the rest of our weekend.
And remember that if you were like, I would love to have those meal planning PDFs, just put template into the comments and we will send those over to you.
Absolutely. Until next week, you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we can't wait to hear what you guys are planned.